Hey there, folks. Welcome back to CYPTV. I wanted to thank y'all. I do appreciate all the support that I'm getting for the channel. Without y'all, there is no CYPTV, so I just wanted to thank everybody for showing support, commenting on the videos. I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to tell y'all that. Well, without further ado, let's jump right into the videos. Someone paid $12 million for this. Should have donated that money. The things people who spend money on, right? This video says it was back in 2006. Let me know in the comments if you think that's real.
Before becoming Thanos, you lived with wolves.
Yeah.
You have said that you would wake up with bite marks on your face.
Holes, not bite marks. I'd be like, look, there's blood. My dad was like, I'm gonna shoot the wolf. And my mom said, if you shoot the wolf, I'm gonna shoot you. Everybody feared my mother. Or she would walk in the cage of any animal and they would cower.
You had no safety whatsoever. Your father's off doing his thing. You're alone with this woman who is behaving in an insane manner.
But Josh became just like her.
I am my mother's child. I am a Tasmanian devil. I will do this my way.
There is so much pain in that human being. Josh is the best villain of all time.
Of research in which they take people that are hospitalized and they put them outdoors more, and their stay in the hospital and their recovery is massively improved. And Dr. Roger Saholt, who just went on Andrew Huberman, covered a lot of these studies. There was a kid who had leukemia, I believe. They had to remove one of his lungs. They basically gave this kid his last wishes, and he said, I want to spend as much time outdoors as possible. Yeah. They started bringing him outside. He didn't die. His lungs started to it's an insane story. And the doctor who talks about this is super like mainstream. He works at Loma Linda. He's a triple board certified doctor.
He's amazing.
So he doesn't go into this like thing of like, this is he was just like, it's an insane case. I have to mention it. Yeah. But he does get into some of the studies where, you know, they would bring people out. The average hospital stay for this disease is 7 to 10 days. They bring people outside in 45-minute increments 3 times or whatever. And then their hospital stay is 2 to 3 days.
Which makes a huge difference in the context of, you know, healthcare in general in society.
Yeah, and it's completely doable. So I think we would both say that if anybody knows anybody that's dealing with something, getting them outside isn't like a little thing of like, oh yeah, this is going to be nice. They're going to get some fresh air or whatever, which is good. It's a tremendous medicine. It's akin to them bringing in some magic potion and putting it into an IV for that loved one. It is that. So advocate for people that are in the hospital and get them outside if possible.
Even just opening the windows too.
Yes, opening the windows, like all that is so crucial.
Child participant in DARPA's Project Pegasus, which was the U.S. time-space program at the time of the emergence of different forms of time travel in the U.S. defense technical community. It's been concealed from the American people that time travel existed as the secret twin, essentially, of Project Manhattan, the atomic bomb project. Because at the time that Project Manhattan was being formulated, and some of the world's leading physicists and engineers were being settled in Los Alamos, New Mexico, to develop the atomic bomb, Nikola Tesla's papers from his apartment in the New Yorker Hotel in Manhattan, New York, that had been seized by the War Department upon his death on January 7th of 1943, were forwarded by the president from the National Archives to Los Alamos, and they're still there. That Nikola Tesla's papers were never lost. 25 years later, by 1968, the U.S. defense community had pioneered Tesla teleportation, which is the capability to open up a vortal tunnel in time space through which somebody can pass. And by the fall of 1970, had found a way to adjust the time of the arrival of the individual via teleportation backward or forward in time. So I was brought in to Project Pegasus as a child participant officially in the fall of 1969.
Now it is video of the unknown. What is it? Is it real? And what is it doing there? A family in Highland, Michigan believes their house is actually haunted and thinks something is harming their little girl. 7 Action News reporter Alan Campbell went to the home to see for himself.
It happened here in this room as 15-month-old Lily was inside her bed. Caught on camera, something walks in front of her crib, catching Lily's attention. Whatever it is, the family says it needs to go.
It's almost like she sees something that we don't.
It's an image Heather and Josh say is haunting their home.
It was chilling. It was literally a chill down your spine, like that what if factor. Like, is this what I just saw?
Caught on the couple's nanny cam video a few weeks ago, what appears to be something moving in front of the baby crib.
I freaked out. I stopped what I was doing and I ran upstairs and I grabbed my daughter.
Heather says this so-called ghost scratched her daughter Lily and attacked her too.
It scares us that it could do something else. I mean, there was even a morning that I woke up and I had felt like something was around like someone's hands were around my neck.
A team of paranormal investigators came in and tried answering some of the couple's questions and concerns. Josh's father, Jim, says it may be someone who lived in this house before.
The story that I was told was the gentleman that lived here originally committed suicide, apparently, by jumping out this window. Which is, of course, one full story down.
The couple says they don't know why this so-called ghost is targeting them, but say they don't want any part of it.
It's not physically just going after her. It feels like it's going after myself, too.
I couldn't get an explanation out of it, you know. So it's It's freaky, is what it is.
For now, Heather and Josh say they will stay inside this place with Lily until they're able to save up enough money and move out. Reporting in Highland Township, I'm Alan Campbell, 7 Action News.
Did you try to lay in there? I'm calling the police. Jesus Christ. This is going to be a hard one to explain to the officers. I'm going to call them. How you going to get out? I'm going to call them.
You can be out.
Oh my
hey,
God.
Bro, we don't need to be ODing in there, bro.
Hello? Yeah, we probably need medical. This dude is stuck inside of this thing. I don't even know how he got in. Drugs are serious out here. He is literally stuck. His head is stuck. His balls are stuck. Everything is stuck in this place. I don't know how to explain it, officer. This is not a joke. I am on Samsung and
Sutter. Montgomery station.
Oh, at the new Montgomery station. He's inside of this black thing and he's literally stuck. I don't know.
I don't think he's stuck. I think he lives in there.
The disturbing crime at supermarkets in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The FBI arresting a man seen on surveillance camera, accused of spraying mouse poison and hand cleaner on produce. Police believe he contaminated food at several grocery stores. No word tonight on a motive.
This man is accused of a terrifying crime, spraying food with a combination of mouse poison and hand sanitizer. His possible targets, the open food bars at Whole Foods, Target, and Walmart. Authorities in Michigan are warning consumers to dispose of any foods purchased from salad bars, olive bars, and ready-to-eat hot and cold food areas from these stores between mid-March and the end of April.
How is it possible that somebody could walk into a food court with this spray that had rat poison in it and spray food?
That's what scares me about eating food from these salad bars and buffets. They need to have like cameras on these things watching people, because that's the main thing. You can't trust people, and having food like that out in the open, anything could happen to that food, right? Anyone could be spraying something or doing something malicious just to hurt other people.
The Trump administration science director has come out saying that American tech can, quote, manipulate time and space. That's not an accident. You don't say that as a turn of phrase. That is not a way you describe calling someone on the phone. Something doesn't quite add up as to why he's saying this. And recently, Donald Trump issued a veiled threat to China saying, she's a smart guy, we'll negotiate. Because otherwise we have weapons and no one knows. Don't believe me? Let's play these clips. My friends, I think we have more than enough ancillary evidence to suggest the U.S. has technology that is undisclosed and may meet disclosure. And it lines up with a lot of theories online researchers have, and the media calls them conspiracy theorists. But listen to this from Donald Trump first.
And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. So let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not.
Not even close. And then you have this video. Take a listen to what the Trump administration science director has to say about our technology.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
What did he mean by that, and why did he say it? My friends have said, Tim, he's simply referring to vehicles. We can leave distance annihilated. He's talking about driving a car, flying a plane, rocket ships. No, I don't think so. Annihilating distance does not mean moving very quickly. And I don't know anybody who's ever expressed themselves in that way.
I believe they're saying this they letting other countries know that we have this technology as a scare tactic. Because they know that these other countries like China and Russia are doing things to provoke. The government is just using this as a scare tactic. So these other countries don't act up. And can you imagine if they saying it out loud now that they have this? How long you think they had this for? Probably for over 20 years or more. They probably had this since the 60s, the 70s, or maybe even before that.
Get out! Get the hell out of my...
Jackson is like laser ass focused on this right now. He won't, like, you alright? I know. Something's wrong. I don't know. I hear noises, but I'm not even sure. Are you fucking kidding me right now? There is no way that just happened. There is no way that just happened. There is no way. What's wrong with you? What's wrong? Jackson. Jackson. What's wrong? There's banging and stuff.
I believe it's not just dogs that can see the paranormal. I'm pretty sure there's other animals that could see it, or maybe all the animals that could see paranormal activity.
Do you know Angie Stone? No. Okay, she just died, right? And before she died, she was speaking out about how Universal Records owes her a lot of money. Prince, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, all these people who created a catalog that's worth billions, they barely getting by. Eventually, you look at your circumstances and you can't take care of your loved ones, and it's like, wow, I'm supposed to be worth billions. Like, where's all my money? And you get to the point you want to stand up and try to fight for your money. And it's like, why when they stand up? Why when R. Kelly wanted his money, why was he indicted? You know what I mean? Why when Angie Stone tried to fight for her money, she died? Why when Whitney Houston wanted her money, she died? Why when Prince started talking about this stuff, you know, he died? Eventually, people got to start reading between those lines and see that there's something going on behind the scenes.
We turn now to that remarkable scientific breakthrough. 13,000 years after the last dire wolf walked the earth, scientists say they've now brought them back. Here's our chief national correspondent back up and with the video tonight.
Tonight, a howl 13,000 years in the making. In a first for science, biotech company Colossal Biosciences says it brought the extinct direwolf back to life, a species that hasn't walked the earth since the Stone Age.
The direwolf is the first de-extinct species.
Well known from HBO's hit show Game of Thrones, ABC News given exclusive access into Colossal's lab in Dallas, where scientists are using genes from gray wolves to create dire wolves.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to dire wolves, and we've edited those cells at multiple places in its DNA sequence to contain the dire wolf version of the DNA. That animal looks like a dire wolf, it will behave like a dire wolf, and it is a dire wolf.
Now, 7 months old, dire wolves Romulus and Remus eating well and getting bigger every day. And David, the company tells us they're not stopping there. They plan to have woolly mammoths roaming the earth again by 2028. But critics argue that this de-extinction could harm fragile ecosystems. David?
Yeah, the images are really something, Matt.
Yeah, this is just the beginning. You can only imagine all the extinct animals that they're going to start bringing back.
Some of you might have heard of the planet Nibiru. Some of you might have heard, particularly in the Bible, of a thing called wormwood. Now, these two things are intimately connected to something else that was recorded in the Bible as the beast. We have been teaching for the last few months the mechanics of what the beast really is, what it stands for. And it is an antichristos technology. It is an evil technology that is used by beings that are emerging into our system, and they have been for literally millions of years, from a black hole system, which is a fallen system that it can't support eternal life frequencies anymore. It is a dying system that is trying to feed on our system. The beast is an amazing feat of genius, twisted in on itself. Now, we'll talk some about the beast when we begin to understand anatomy, our own personal anatomy, because there's a piece of each of our anatomy on this planet. And this is true for the fact that we exist on the planet, because we're picking it up from the planet's anatomy just by coming in here and incarnating here. A piece of each of us called the shadow. The shadow body is connected to the beast. And when we get through exploring what this beastly technology is, they keep giving me pieces of detail of how all these little pieces fit together, and it's just amazing. What this machine, it is an interdimensional, crystalline technology-based Templar control machine that has many, many different pieces and parts to it. That's very much connected with what they were doing in the Montauk Project and in the Philadelphia experiment and all of those things. But it also has everything to do with what they were doing in Atlantis, that ancient place that we don't think is real anymore. It was real, all right. And so was the house cleaning that came afterward to make sure we had no records of it. So by the time this time period came, we wouldn't know, we wouldn't remember, because then we wouldn't be able to prevent some of the things that certain fallen races have in mind. Many of those fallen races were human faces. That's one of the first things that's very difficult to realize, because most human beings, and in what we call indigo children, are very loving inside of themselves. They feel genuine love and compassion for each other and for the planet and for animals and all those kind of things. But there are other human beings that wear human faces, that do not have human souls, and they do not have the capacity to experience what we would call the emotions of love or compassion or connection. They have brilliance of mind, but coldness of heart. We call them those with the black heart. Now, the black heart is also kind of a metaphor for certain parts of the beast technology that have to do with implants. These aren't just little implants that might be floating around in your auric field. They're not just implants that might be stuck in your DNA, messing up the way the chemicals communicate with each other. These are implants on an interdimensional, universal galactic level, which means they're implants that are placed in the cores of stars. They are placed in the cores of suns to create certain unnatural effects of electromagnetic energy interaction that were created for a purpose that is culminating in our time frame. Our time frame is precious. It's special. Because for 250 billion years, calculated in Earth time, guardian races throughout this universe have waited for this time period to come. There was a healing experiment that we'll talk a little bit about when we touch the history that began 250 billion years ago when a black hole system was inadvertently created in this time matrix. From that period of time, there have been progressive wars, conflict dramas, polarity conflict issues, suffering, pain in this time matrix. And there have been races of beings that serve the guardian role of protecting the universal Templar enough, whereas many of the beings who had fallen could be helped out of the black hole system. And either the black hole would be healed, or when it reached critical mass, where it was going to swallow the system it fell from, it would be closed. Now, we are in the process, and we are in the final time when that closing is taking place.
What makes it difficult for anyone to succeed or live, or for us to really come together and have peace in this world, are all of these people who think that they are the guardians of the secrets of the ages and have only them have truly mature minds. So only them are worthy of knowing the secrets and the real science and the real metaphysics and all of these things. So they repress it and they keep it secret. So the rest of us live out our lives and we don't know the truth of what life is really all about. Therefore, we're always stumbling over each other and getting in each other's way and doing the things that we profess that we don't want to do. simply because we don't have access to the truth. I got to tell you this, back when these men first began establishing these societies, these mystery schools, and suppressing information, the common man was uneducated, did not have an intellect capable of understanding these secrets. They were really beasts of burden for the most part, and they lived their whole life in toil.
Right.
And if they're taught correctly, people better wake up to the fact that unless they wake up and do something about it now, there's only going to be one alternative. And that's either take up arms, restore the Constitution, and the blood will run in the streets of America, or reach down and put the shackles around your own feet and march off into slavery peacefully.
What's kind of fun about realizing that you're much more than what you see when you look in the mirror is to start playing with it. I won't do it right now. If we have time later, I'll play with this, but we don't really need to because it's not that important, but it's fun. If you want to find out what it means to flash on and off in between moments, there's a way you can train your eyes to begin to see where matter actually disappears and comes back again. And it's usually the easiest way to do it is if you take a partner and you sit like knee to knee and you look into each other's eyes. And there'll be a discomfort level first as the whites of your eyes start to actually pick up. The whites of your eyes are more sensitive to interdimensional frequency. That's why you'll see things out of the corner of your eye and you try to look at them and they disappear a lot of times. Eventually, the rest of your eye will see as well. But what you have to do to begin to see the spots between moments, you just stare at somebody and have them stare at you right in the eye. Now you're doing a current thing here. You're transmitting current through your eyes. We all do. And they're transmitting it back to you, and you're accelerating the frequency in the space between you. One of the first effects you'll get is you want to rub your eyes because they'll burn. They'll start to burn because the matter of your eyes that they're made of are not used to the frequency yet. This is higher frequency than what your eyes are used to, so they burn. So if you can try to move through that a little bit. I remember doing this with somebody, and literally we were so determined to see what was in the spaces between moments that we're standing there, we're like crying, their eyes are crying, I'm not going to close them, I'm not going to close them yet. And we were able to teach our eyes after a while to where it might, in the first minute and a half, we might have ended up, with the eyes crying, where we could do it for 5 or 10 minutes. Before the eyes start to burn, because we got our eyes used to being able to dealing with the higher frequencies that were being generated. One of the first effects you'll see is you're staring at the person, and over here, you'll usually catch it out of the periphery. If you're staring right at their eyes, a part of their head will disappear. Not the whole thing, just like a blank spot, a black spot appears. Did I see that? No, I mustn't have saw that, did I? And you look for it, you try to look at it, and it's not there. Because the whites of your eyes are seeing faster speed than the rest of your eyes. You learn to look at peripheral vision. You learn to actually hold a focus in somebody's eyes, while at the same time teaching the whites of your eyes to look here at the same time and be aware of it, which is really weird. It feels like you have 4 eyes when you start to do that. And then you realize you can take this one and then you go over there and like this, you'd be like a lizard. You know how lizards do their eyes around like that? You start to realize your perceptions can move a lot more than you're used to. So it's worth playing that game because you can see some interesting things if you work with a partner, or you can do it in a mirror, but I wouldn't suggest doing that yet because there are things you need to do to mirrors so you don't get in trouble with them. Mirrors bend light. They bend light in ways that make them easy energy doorways, and you don't know what they connect to. And sometimes somebody on the other side does, and it might not be something that you want to deal with. We have mirrors there used to be cultures that did not allow mirrors in their homes because they'd have things flying through them all the time. From the astral plane, from other time frames. There were times on this planet where civilizations were just not, anything reflective was considered dangerous because it was an open doorway to God knows what. And usually it wasn't something that God would want there. So there are ways we can code our mirrors that lock them just into our own D12 Christos pattern, so you'll be safe. When we get done with the Cathara workshop, where you learn how to run Maharata current, you could actually do a healing session on a mirror. The technique that we're going to probably by tomorrow is we're going to do it, and it's going to be fun because tomorrow I'm going to ask you to bring like a little blanket or something to lay on because we're actually going to do facilitations, and people are going to have to like take turns being facilitator and client. Image as your partner in this experiment and stare into your eyes a bit. Find the burning phase. Okay, the frequency is going up. When your eyes start to burn, know the frequency is raising. That's why if we stare at the sun very quickly, our eyes will burn because the sun is transmitting higher frequency waveforms. But when you start to get into the interdimensional spectra, when it's bouncing back at you from a mirror, from somebody else's eyes, it happens really intensely and quickly. Try to keep your eyes open through it. And if it gets really bad, don't like hurt your eyes. All right, break the focus. But then you have to start the climb into the frequency again. What you can see when you get good at holding this focus is you can begin to see the other selves of you or the other person that you're looking at. If you want to know who you are in other time vectors right now, and a lot of people say, oh, well, that's just the past. They're dead and gone. It's not important. Excuse me, time is simultaneous. They're not dead and gone. It is important. They're alive right now. Wouldn't it be neat to talk to them? You can also use that to be able to access if you can find a self in another time vector and make a mind link, which can often start with finding that space, that self in between the spaces between moments. You can make a telepathic mind link. They'll have a different language than you, and very rarely will you translate language back and forth. But what you will get is the ability to do direct cognition. You can get to the point where you can move the consciousness from you, and you can ask them into their field. They're a part of you. If they're part of your own avatar, you have a right to move your focus between them. You're not inflicting yourself on somebody else. You move your focus in, and you can see out through their eyes. Now, you can't influence their thoughts. That would be messing with their free will. But you can look out through their eyes, and they can look out through yours. So there's a lot of things that you can do when you begin to work with frequency. Okay.
These videos are for education and entertainment. Fact or fiction, real or fake? Let me know in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Until next time, this is CYPTV and I'm out.